And I need to make sure that we are actually going live on Facebook. Sorry, y'all. This is my first webinar that I've manned in a while with my illness and all of that stuff. So now I got to remember how to do all these things. Here we go on the WIP Summit page. Okay, so back to business here. Kate Steed is the publisher at Old Mate Media, and Old Mate Media has, like all of us in this industry, done some growing and changing. And when I met Kate, she was primarily a children's book publisher. Old Mate Media has expanded over the past few years and now does children's books and nonfiction books, and it is largely a self-publishing assist company. And I am sure Kate will tell you everything you need to know about Old Mate Media through this presentation. I'm so excited to have her back this year as a sponsor. She's been a speaker many times through the Women in Publishing Summit. I think you were part of our very first one years ago, and have been in the community and part of our publisher network ever since. So we're really happy to have you here. Before I kick the presentation over to Kate, I just want to remind everybody of a couple of things. It is being recorded. It will go on our YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to the Write Publish Sell YouTube channel, please make sure you do that. It is broadcasting live on the Women in Publishing Summit Facebook page as well, so you can grab it there. And we do have a Q&A box, so please put your questions in there so that Kate doesn't miss them at the end of the presentation. And when you're done with your presentation, Kate, I'll hop back over and help you navigate the Q&A box, because that can get a little overwhelming. Closed captioning is on. I think that's all the housekeeping. So again, thank you so much, Kate, for supporting our community, for being a very trusted and a wonderful member of our community. And I'm going to let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alexa. And it's very lovely to be here, everyone. I am in Australia, and that means that it is 6 a.m. in the morning here. So if I take a minute to get my thoughts, sometimes that is why, because I have had my coffee and I am awake, but sometimes my brain might take a minute to catch up. So I'm just going to share my screen and go see if I can go into the presentation. Give me a sec. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. If you can't, then let me know.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, so as Alexa said, I'm Kate from Old Mate Media. I'm Kate Stead. Everyone says our name wrong, so don't worry. It's a consistent thing.
I'm so sorry, Stead. I hate it when I do that.
No, it's all good. My kids say it all the time. Every time they get a certificate at school, they go, "Oh, Mum, they said Steed again." I'm like, yeah, it's not my real name because I married into the family. So
how horrible of me as a native English speaker too, because head is H-E-A-D. So you would think naturally, well, I don't know. Apologize.
No, all good. Everyone does it, but I like to correct because otherwise it goes all the way through. So I just wanted to, now if I'm looking up, it's just because my screen's above me with the presentation. I just wanted to talk a bit about how I got here, because I think everyone comes into publishing from a pretty diverse background, and mine is unique, and it's helped me to get to a point where I can actually talk about selling in a really interesting way. So when I was a kid, I was a massive reader, and my dad actually worked for HarperCollins. And so I grew up surrounded by books and publishing and book shows. And I actually, because I knew nothing else, I thought that was normal. I would go into the office and I would read the new books. And my mother also ran the secondhand book stall every year at our school fair, which was a huge school fair. And so all year round, we would have books, boxes of books in our house building up for the stall. And she would get returns, funnily enough, boxes of returns from publishers to sell. So they would be basically new. And I would sit there and I'd sneakily read them. I wasn't meant to read them because they were meant to be like new books, but I would read them and just open them tiny little bit so you didn't crack the spine, which was great because I read so much. I read a lot of inappropriate books very early because she used to get boxes from Harlequin, Mills and Boon. And that kicked off my love of romances. I'm a massive romance reader. So if anyone has a romance book, send it my way and I will read it for you. I love reading romances. But yeah, massive childhood reader. And then surprisingly went from there into studying science at university. Not so surprisingly, decided that I didn't really want to be in a lab. It was not the thing for me. And so moved across in a big shift to planning weddings and events and big events, big corporate events, and then moved from there into communications and marketing. And then after we had our first child, we started Old Mate Media. My husband started it because he, like many people, once he had a kid, he has a journalism and editorial background and design background, so a little bit of nounce, I guess, to start. And he started creating his own books. And then we started creating books for other people. He started after he kept asking me to come on board. And then after a little while, I did. And then I had to learn everything. And you will all know that when you start a small business, this is the sense that you have to learn everything. And for those of you that are new authors, I just want to reassure you that it is a massive learning curve. We've run Old Mate Media now for 10 years, and it's a lot to learn. So don't feel like you have to know everything. And now I consider myself, I do a lot of different things, but I consider myself as someone who connects people. So I connect people with opportunities. I connect people with solutions. I do a lot of problem solving. I build things. I build engagement, to talk in a corporate way. I build communication plans. I build books, and I build marketing plans. And so that's kind of my journey. And the different parts of me and the different things that I've done mean that I take a very unique view on the world and on selling. And I've really learned to lean into all those different parts of me that allow me to see things from my way. And that's what I would like you guys to do too. And this is my lovely family. So here's my husband, Chris, who's a slightly Viking looking guy. So when we started Old Mate Media, my oldest son, he was about 1 and now he's 13, which is truly scary to me. And my youngest is 8, and Jazzy's my reader. I'm watching what she reads because I've already had to pull out a couple of those YA novels that aren't really YA, and she's 11 and she's like trying to read them. And my goal is to get the kids to do YouTube video reviews of books for me, but they're not quite there yet. But that's my goal. I'm trying to bring them into the family business. But we try and work our business around doing amazing adventures with our family, because that's like a big goal for our life, is to have a great time with our family. So we have our own books. As I mentioned, Chris is a writer, so he has written quite a number of children's books and some gaming books and some other titles. And this is just a small selection. And then this is some of our children's books clients that we've worked with. And they're all really different. Excuse me. And that's what I love about them, is they've all come from really different places and with really different goals. And we've been able to help them get to that point. So that's just a little bit on me, so you can see who it is that is talking to you about selling and why I'm talking to you about selling. But what we're going to talk about is selling with authenticity. So first, let's just talk about Amazon, because I know a lot of people are very down on Amazon. It's evil. It's a big, corporate empire that just doesn't do anything good. And I'm not one of those people. I really, as much as I'm saying do things differently, I think it's important to highlight that Amazon is pretty amazing for independent authors. But it revolutionized our access to customers. And, the fact that you have instant worldwide reach, that is so fantastic, that you can put a book up and it can be sold all over the world straight away. The fact that they manage all the distribution for you, that is so good. No, you don't have to go to the post office. You don't have to send books to different things. Obviously, if this is based on print on demand, you don't need to have stock. We were just talking about returns. You don't need to have stock. Like, what a great model that is. And it's really easy to start and to scale. One of the things that I love about Amazon is, particularly in the children's book space, is that you can use it as a market tester. You can put up your book on KDP and you can sell it for 3 or 4 months and get feedback, and then you can change it. And then you can print 1,000 copies. That's pretty awesome. But there's cons, of course. So even though it's got worldwide reach, who are you actually reaching? I liken it to the tree in the woods. If you put a book up on Amazon and no one knows it's there and you do no promotion, does it even exist? And this is what I often say to our clients who are reluctant to put it up before they're entirely ready. I say, no one's going to know it's there. No one's even going to see it. Don't worry. But that is a con. There are a lot of books on Amazon. There's huge competition. They take a big cut of your sales price. I think I say it's a big cut. I do think it's fair, but it's still a big cut, and you've got to think about that when you're thinking about profits. And with that comes a high print price. So between the high print price and the big cut, your margin's small, especially when you factor in advertising. And if you're going to sell on Amazon, you need to factor in advertising. And their quality can be a bit dicey. So, and this is not such a thing for a general paperback, but in the children's book space, sometimes you can get the wrong book printed in your book, which is fun. And sometimes you can get upside down pages. Sometimes the page shifts. It's, and people don't associate that with Amazon. They associate it with you, which is unfortunate. So that's a definite disadvantage. So in saying that, I think if you are commercially writing to market and you're writing in one of the big genres that do really well on Amazon, then it should be your focus. If that's you, then, well, you may not be one of the people on your webinar, because I'm thinking that the people that I'm talking to are the people who want to do things differently. If you've seen the title of this webinar and gone, that's for me, then you probably aren't one of those people. If you are, then you should follow all the tried and tested methods, because they do work. So that's my caveat to say that. But that's a very small sector of the market. So if that's not you, and the vast majority of authors are not 100% commercially writing to market, and that's okay. That's, having creativity as a primary goal, or even a near primary goal, is good and fine, but it means that you can think about things a bit differently. So what if we think beyond Amazon? So this is Ken. Ken's one of our authors who has been with us for a very long time. And I love Ken. And Ken is based in Torquay in England, and he is such a hustler. So when Ken when he first published with us, we did put his books up on Amazon for him, but he wasn't very good on computers. It wasn't his thing. So we talked about the standard promotions, and he just struggled with them. And so he thought that what could be better, he said, I have an opportunity, I can sell books direct. So we modified the way that we worked with him and his books, and to really focus on direct sales. And so what he does is, Ken Ken is a performer in the local hotel in a number of local hotels in Torquay, and they primarily host people coming in on bus tours. So it's a lot of retirees, and so he knows his people. He knows the people that are at his shows, and so he sells his books directly to him, to them at the shows for cash, and he has done incredibly well. He sells so many books. I'm just always amazed at how many books. And what we do is we order the books from Ingram Spark for him, because they deliver really fast and you can get a good quality. And he usually orders about 50 books of each, 50 of each title at a time. And now, because we've done that with Ingram, we now have a great discount with them, so that he gets them a bit cheaper per copy. And here he is selling books at a local fair. He raises funds for a local hospice, which also it's lovely. And he does it because he does a lot of charity work, but it's also a great marketing strategy for his market, which he knows. He is very kind, but very savvy. So he started off with children's books, and then he wrote a cozy mystery that is set in a historical building in his town. So again, he knows his people. So the retirees, either grandparents or they love cozy mysteries, and they just both sell like hotcakes. And then he got his books stocked in every single store, every single bookstore in his town. He got his books stocked in the historical building in their sales thing. He wrote a book about a children's book about a historical mining story, and he's got that stocked in the mining museum. He sells maybe one book a month on Amazon. He really doesn't sell on Amazon, but direct he does brilliantly, and he's very happy. And he's writing. His people that come to his shows have asked. He's written two in the series of the cozy mysteries, and his people are asking him for the third. So he's currently writing the third. So he's doing really well. So that's Ken. And this is another one of our clients who never even went on Amazon. So this is Tori, and so Tori. When we started talking about her book, we started looking at Amazon. Now, she has this great story about adopting a dingo, probably a half dingo pup from the outback in Australia, and bringing it to Sydney to live with her. I do want to put a little caveat in to say that this is not something that people do in Australia. I don't want you all to think that this is just what Australians do and maybe we adopt some kangaroos or something too. We don't do this. So that's why that is actually why it's a story, because people don't just adopt dingoes from the outback and bring them to Sydney all the time. So she had this very unique experience and this very adorable story. And now, when we started talking to her about international sales and Amazon and print on demand, and she didn't want to do it. It wasn't her thing. What she wanted was to be in all bookstores. She said, I just want children to be able to come into bookstores, and I want to do visits for my grandkids' schools and things like that. So, and I want a beautiful quality book. Her thing was I just really want it to be beautiful paper, because the artist, the beautiful watercolor drawings, she said, I like your books, but I don't like the quality of the print on demand. So we found a great printer, an Australian printer, which was also important to her. And she, again, has sold her books directly. So she is a very upmarket and articulate lady. And she just walked into every bookstore and got them to take her books on consignment and sell. And at one point, she had her books on sale in about 30 different bookstores, from Palm Beach to Sydney, like all across this whole half of Sydney, which is the area that she was targeting. And she visited the schools. And again, she was really, really happy. Never even went on Amazon. We didn't even do a digital version for her. She didn't even want a digital version. It was just print and direct. And she had a little website, and she sold from her website too. So so that's just two people who, you know, who didn't put Amazon as the be all and end all, or the traditional selling methods. So this is a point where, you know, you kind of go, but hang on, shouldn't we, like, you know, we've got to do the hard yards. We should push through, and we should just learn the stuff. And you should. It's partially true, but this always makes me think of this lady. So hands up if you have signed up to an exercise program. You've got all enthused, you've gone, I need to get fit and healthy, and I'm going to do this. I've seen this great gym. I'm going to join the gym. And you sign up, you pay your money, you go once, and you're like, yeah. And then you get to the second time and you just don't do it because you hate it, because it doesn't connect with you, right? If you don't pick the right thing, it doesn't connect with you, and you just feel that sense of dread, and you just don't do it. You find all the reasons not to do it. And this is something that I want you to keep in mind, because what's the best exercise? It's the one that you actually do. And this principle applies to marketing and sales. What's the best way to sell and market? It's the one that you actually do. If you're not going to do it, then don't just have it sitting there tormenting you. So I have this little video for you to watch, and I'm going to apologize because it will stay with you. But it's good that it will stay with you. So let's watch. Hopefully the sound's working. Have you got sound? Is it coming through?
Selling is service, and service is selling. Service is selling, and selling is service.
I'm selling to the customers to make them feel all right.
I'm buying all these products with oh so much delight.
I can help you find anything you could possibly want.
Such ostentatious goodies that I can flaunt.
Selling is service.
And service is selling.
Service is selling.
And selling is service. Hello there, Nikki. How you doing today? I'm in a good mood, and it's here to stay. I've got a customer here that wants an Ulu to buy. I'll send one right over. I've got plenty in supply. Hello there, sir. I got some news for you. Your product is coming. It'll be here by 2. Service is sell. Selling is service. Selling is service. Service is selling. My name is Jill, and I don't like to sell. I'm an unhappy person. Everyone can go to heck. Complain, that's all I like to do. It's alrighty, the weather is cloudy, and I'm feeling sick too.
Hello there, Jill. They call me Happy Pete. I came to the store to buy myself a treat.
Leave me here moping in the depths of despair.
You look so unhappy that you're making me sad. I won't buy as much, 'cause now I feel bad.
Selling is service.
Service is selling.
Service is selling.
Selling is service. How about a scarf? You'll look dashing in jade. If you buy this Usyk, you'll have it made. We've got keychains and mugs and shirts to fit your budget. Buy all your gifts here. Everyone will love it.
I love spending money. It makes me feel so good. Look at all this cute stuff. Who cares if I should?
Selling is service.
And service is selling.
Service is selling.
And selling is service.
So yeah, I love that video. It makes me laugh every time. But you know, this part is about a little mindset shift for you. Oh, and now it does this every time and it replays. We don't need to watch it twice. So this is a mindset shift of your book is a gift. Now, when you get a bit worn out from selling and marketing, and if things aren't going right, I think this is one of the first things that goes. This is one of the things that you can lose faith. You can lose faith in the joy of your book, and don't do that, because books are pretty amazing. Every book brings joy, and you know, that can be a funny thing to say, because there's a lot of really dark books out there, but some people really like reading really dark books. So even the darkest of books, you know, lights us up. It brings something to us. And so your book, it is a gift, but it's not a gift for everyone. And this is probably the important part of this. So thinking of your book as a service, that your book is something that is a gift for someone, but it's not the right gift for everyone. And this can be one of the things that people do, is that they put a lot of effort into a really broad-based selling strategy, and then they get tired and depressed because, you know, the people that don't like your book are quite blunt about why they don't like your book. So it's important to know who your readers are. And this in itself, and I know that there was a branding webinar recently, so I hope that some of you went to that. Excuse me, it's the morning croakiness. So that's a whole nother webinar. There's a couple of great articles on our website about that, so I can point people to those too if you didn't go to the webinar. But just a hint, so you do want to work out who your readers are. And when I say know thyself, it's actually because normally we write for ourselves. There's very few people who write something that they don't personally connect to, or they write something for people that don't share the same values and the same likes as them. So as an example, our children's books, pardon me, when my husband started writing our children's books, he wrote them to entertain our kids. And so they're best for parents that have the same views as us and the same types of kids as us. They're the people who really connect with the messaging in our books. So I always like, and some of the people who have given us really negative reviews, which is normal, were people who are not like us, who are people who take an entirely different approach to parenting. And so they want entirely different books, and that's okay. It's helpful sometimes when people give you a really negative review, because you can go, you're not the person for me. You're not, book is not a gift for you. I'm not serving you, so I'm not even going to do anything with you. Okay. So when you want to sell differently, so you know who the types of people that that you can sell to. The other thing that you have is everyone has a whole bunch of unique connections. Everyone. So then what you want to do is you want to have a think about who you know that will love your book, like all your connections and why they will love it. So think about the people in your network and the people in your broader network. So these can be people 1 step removed from you or 2 steps removed from you, but someone who you have a connection to in some ways. So it can be groups, it can be individuals. It can be even a type of person. So, you know, we have a book on anxiety for children and on breathing regulation that we're working on at the moment. And she wants to get it into occupational therapist offices so that they can give it to their clients. So she had a connection with the association. One of her friends was one of the people on the board of the Association of Occupational Therapists. So that was the connection there that she was going to use. So what you're doing when you're thinking about why they will love it, it's important to think about, you know, why it will bring them joy. So what's in it for me? What's in it for them? So use this principle, and this is one of the really good principles of effective selling, because you're really looking for a win-win out of whatever they're going to get out of it. So your win is that someone else gets your book. Their win, what's their win? Thinking about what's their win. And again, in knowing who you're talking to and why your book is a gift, then this makes this quite easy. So the next step in your homework is to then make a list of these groups that you have a connection with and would also have a connection to your book, because this you're going to come back to later. This is part of your selling. So, and remember, just keep that. It's a gift for the right people. So you're not doing something, you're not tormenting people, you're not pushing something on people that don't want it. You're helping people. Selling is a service, and service is a service. It sticks in your head. Okay, so I'm a pretty practical person, but this part is about, so we've talked about how books bring joy, but now I want to talk about why do we want to actually enjoy selling? Now, publishing is it's not easy. Everyone that I know, right, you don't roll out of university or out of high school and start a publishing career. It's something that you have added in. This is always an addition to the rest of your life, right? Now, so it always starts with a bit of passion, and you're fitting it in. So why? Let's have fun with this. Let's set it up so that we actually enjoy what we're doing here, because this is something that you have to fit in with the rest of your life. And this is particularly important to me. Why? Well, things happen in your life and changes things. Now, for me, we had a huge house fire about 18 months ago, and our life changed in like the course of, the fire apparently took about half an hour. We were on holidays, and our poor dog sitter called us in tears to say, your house is burning down, which is the most surreal call to receive, I have to tell you. And so the process of getting the house fixed, of getting through insurance, of getting through all this has taken us about 15 months. And now we're back in my house, which is amazing. We got through it, but it really, these big things like that, they do shift your perspective on life. And this stuff, not this stuff, I don't wish my lemons on anyone. It's having a house fire is not fun, but no one was hurt. So I still feel incredibly grateful that, it sounds weird to say, but it could have been so much worse. So I'm still incredibly grateful that things worked out the way they did. But these things happen. They happen to everyone, and it could be a 1,000 different things that throw your life into a spin. So let's enjoy. It's important to me. It's really shifted my perspective in that I want to enjoy what I'm doing, right? And you're not going to enjoy everything. Let's get that out of the way. But let's try and set up our publishing and our sales so that we enjoy it. Because why slog? We don't want to slog. This is our one and only life. Let's not slog. Let's have fun. So that was the woo time. And this, I do love this quote from Oprah, because we're all unique, right? So tapping into what makes you unique and what you enjoy is the best way to have a good time. You know, you don't have to be someone else. You don't have to sell the way that I sell. You don't have to sell the way that Alexa sells. You can pick the best bits of what we say, the ones that you vibe with, and go with those. So that was the little woo. Got to have a little bit of woo, but I am an incredibly practical person. So now we're going to do the practical steps, because, you know, it's all well and good to say, connect with your joy, Kate, but, you know, we need to actually put boots on the ground and do the work too. So we're going to make some lists. This is homework. And don't worry, I will send you guys this afterwards so that you get the homework so you don't have to make notes. So we're going to think about the whole publishing journey, every single little bit of it. And I want you to think about which steps in the publishing journey you enjoy. And then I want you to break it down further and think about which parts of each activity are the ones that I enjoy, and what feeling do I get from doing this. And this is a really effective step to look at the bits, the tasks. So there's the task that you enjoy and the feeling you get from it, because then you can move towards that. You can try and build that into more of your day. But then, you know, you actually want to look further, and you want to think about your life outside publishing. We all have a huge life outside publishing, of course. So think about your job. If you, most of us have another job, your family life and your hobbies, your volunteering, the things that you do around your life, and talk to your family and friends. When am I most excited? When do they see you buzz the most? Now, for me, you know, I am most excited when, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but it's true, is when someone says, oh, and when I can help someone connect to someone else, or come up with a unique solution to their problem. So, and it's usually a marketing problem, because I love it. I know I'm unusual, but I love it. So someone will say, so for example, at the moment, one of the things that I do is I volunteer to teach ethics in our school. It's a little program that they do in Australia, where it's an alternative to religious education, because we have mandated religious education in primary schools. And so they've come up with this program for people who don't want the religious education, and it's called ethics, and it's great. They always need, it's a completely volunteer program, so they need more teachers, just like the scripture teachers that come in, they have ethics teachers. And so we're trying to think of ways to, just talking about ways to get more teachers. And I went, okay, well, who are our teachers? Who are the people that this will work best for? And I looked around at the volunteers, I'm like, retirees. We want to target the men who are retiring, who are at home. And so we want to get to their wives, and we want to encourage the wives to encourage their husbands to get out of the house, because they don't want them there, because they're very annoying. And, you know, and this is, so how do we get to the wives and the men and persuade them that this is a fun use of their time? And that, just doing things like that. I love doing things like that coming up with that way to reach people and to get that message across. So that's me. So think about what makes you buzz. And it could be like making something. It could be creating something. Maybe it's when you talk to people. Maybe it's when you spend time volunteering. You know, there's anything. Maybe it's when you're planning something. It comes down to, maybe it's when you're cooking. Maybe it's following a recipe. You know, there's also, just think about all the things, because what you're going to end up with is a whole bunch of joy. I mean, you're going to end up with a whole long list of things that you love and the joyful feelings you get from them. Now, how good is that? Just as a point in your life, that's a pretty cool list. But don't worry, that's too woo. We're back to away from the woo, back to practical. So then we're going to think about all the different ways to sell books. And there's lots and lots of different ways to sell books. I'll send a list. So don't worry. It's good if you can brainstorm and write them all down, then great. But I'll also send you a list that you can check out, that you can have a look at. And what you want to do is you want to think about how you can put these together. So you going to end up with 3 parts. You're going to end up with your list of unique connections and what they will get out of your book. You're going to end up with the things that you enjoy. And then you're going to end up with a list of how you can sell books. And then you're going to brainstorm how you can put these together. Now, that might feel hard, but once you start doing it, it won't be as hard as you think, I promise. Because what you're going to be looking at, how can I incorporate the bits that I enjoy with the people that I know, and then, put a bit of sales in there. So just, you're going to brainstorm. There's no wrong answers here. So just remember that, no wrong answers. And then you're going to refine and test. So a big part of that is you're going to get rid of the things that you hate, right? So we do want to, so we've got our list of, we've got our brainstorm, we've got our list of joy, we've got our connections, we've got all these things. And then you're going to think like the things that you just don't do, the things that make you feel like the lady just sprawled on the floor. Don't do them. If you need to do them, if they are necessary, then find a way to outsource them. If you can't afford to outsource them, put them to the side for now. And, that might feel, oh, but you're not doing them anyway. Let's be blunt. If you're not doing them anyway, you're not doing them. So don't try. Just remove the guilt. Focus on the things that you want to do. And then take your new list of ideas and pick one, just one, to test for 3 months. 3 months is a good period of time to test. It gives you a good chance, but please don't do them all. Lots of people will get all excited and they'll try and do them all, and then they won't do any of them well. You will have other stuff going on. You will you might be writing your next book, you might have a newsletter that you're keeping on, there's a bunch of stuff that you'll be doing anyway. So please don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick one, do it for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, if it's working well, then you'll be more confident in it then, and you can fit it in, and then you can add on another one, right? But please don't do it all at once. So a little quote from Dr. Seuss to remind you: be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Now, this is meant to be obviously a philosophical statement, but it works really well for sales and marketing too, because when you're talking to the people that your book is a gift to, they will connect with you. So you can be you. Don't bother trying to be anyone else. Just be you and do things your way. Now, I just have a few reading suggestions. This book, Phosphorescence by Julia Baird, oh my gosh, it is an amazing book. So if you want to read something on finding joy in the everyday moments, then I highly recommend this book. She's an Australian author, and it's great. Start slowly, so push through. I nearly gave up, but it's amazing. If you have been sidelined by something crazy happening in your life, then Any Ordinary Day by Lee Sales, another Australian author, and this is why I'm sharing them, because, again, most people don't see Australian books. She takes a scientific approach to looking at how people recover from extraordinary events, and it's just the conversations she has with people are so amazing. I devoured this book. It's just fantastic. And it's a strange thing when you've been through something big and you're back in the world, but your head's still not quite there. It's a weird space to be in, and she talks about that, and it's just fantastic. Burnout is another great book on, you know, dealing with stress and just living. And I say I'm living in this world because, you know, it's a unique world we live in. And this book is written by women for women. And I love that because it talks about how women deal with stress and how women deal with challenges and how you can do things. And it's a fantastic book. Now, finding the joy in your work, in your task-based things, Marcus Buckingham is the person to go to. That was where I first looked at what I wanted to do, and I was able to structure what I wanted to do around what I enjoyed. And he has some really great books. He's got quite a few. And then Alexa has ditched the fear and market. So she has a great book. And so, of course, you should read Alexa's book. Definitely. So you can find me in the Women in Publishing Facebook group and at Old Mate Media on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or under Kate Stead on LinkedIn. Do feel free to connect. You can, one of the things that we do is we will have a 15-minute call with any author that wants to just have a chat about publishing. See, this is tapping into the things that I enjoy. I love talking to people about their problems publishing. So I'm really happy to have a call with anyone. You can see you can book in on that page. So please do that. Sorry, my voice is going all croaky. And I will be sending you all a bit of a breakdown so that you can actually fill in those questions that I've sent you, which will make it easier for you. So, questions? Now I feel like I've talked my head off for a long time.
Oh, no, this was a great presentation. Thank you so much. We do have a few questions for you, so I'll read these out to you. I answered a couple ahead of time that were more specific, but okay. Does Amazon only promote books that receive over 50 to 100 good reviews? My books have received all 4 to 5 stars reviews, but my sales are very low. I do better what Tim does selling my own at book fairs and local events. Problem with bookstores who do have my book is that they get lost in the shelves, and the bookstores only promote the national bestsellers. So it feels like this is a real big question around, like, how do your books best get promoted at, you know, not only Amazon, but also the retailers?
Yeah. So look, you've got to remember that for Amazon and retailers, their goal is to make money. Their goal is not to promote your book. So if you want them to promote your book, then you have to think about what they will get from it. So if you want a bookstore to promote your book, then you can go and talk to them about doing an event in their store. You can talk to them about ways that your book will fit in with their seasonal promotions. You can talk to them. So it's really always, to get people to do the work for you, you have to sit in that person's position and go, okay, I'm this person. What do I need? What are my top needs? And then think about how your book can fit in with that. It sounds ridiculous to say this, but they don't owe you any favors. They don't owe you any promotion. You have to do the work, and it still might not work. You know, you can say to people, this is a great way to fit this in with your seasonal promotions, and they can have 5 other things and they can go, no, that's not going to work. But at least you're pitching it in a way that makes sense to them, and it might work the next time, or it might make them go, look, that's not going to fit with this seasonal promotion, but why don't we do this? You know, so when you want to start what's in it for them. Start from what's in it for them. With Amazon, what's in it for them is your book selling, basically. So how can you get higher conversions on your sales page is one thing. So make sure that your sales description is really good, and advertise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
want you to advertise.
no matter where you're selling your book, it's going to be the same scenario, right? Whether it's at a bookstore, whether it's at your website, whether it's on your front porch or from your car trunk, which many people, that's how Jack Canfield started, actually. He went around with a bunch of books in the trunk of his car and sold them to people. However you're doing it, you are responsible for getting the people there, whether that's by paying for ads or somebody to promote your book, or whether that's by sending the traffic there. But Amazon's role, like Kate said it perfectly, it's not their job to market you. It's their job to put a place for you to sell it. And so that's something I think we have to keep in mind. We hear this with publishers too, is a lot of people get upset that publishers aren't doing enough to market your book. I can tell you, as a publisher, you can pump a lot of money into marketing a book. And if the author isn't, especially with picture books, but with all books, if the author isn't out there making things happen and doing events and getting in front of readers and doing readings and all those kinds of things, marketing dollars, it's just, it doesn't always do it,
Yeah. And this is like, yeah. So considering all that, this is actually why it becomes really important to focus on the bits that you enjoy, right?
Exactly.
Because not everything's going to work and not everything's going to be effective. So let's focus on the ones that you're going to enjoy. And then even if they aren't effective, even if they don't work that well, then at least you've had fun doing it.
And on that note, I would encourage you to try stuff you think you would hate. I think one of my favorite examples of this is with me personally. I used to hate speaking in front of people, live, not live recorded, whatever. And now you can't get me to shut up. So, sometimes you just gotta try new things and see. You may find that something that you didn't think you would enjoy is your absolute favorite thing to do. Okay. Janelle, congratulations. She's about to publish her very first book with Ingram Sparks. Is it Ingram Spark? Is it best to link Amazon through Ingram?
No. Sorry. Look, I go back to the principles which came from the head of Ingram Spark at the time, who said use Ingram Spark. And again, caveat, if you want to sell on Amazon strongly, then you are best to upload your book directly to Amazon and on Ingram. Use both, right? If Amazon is not your focus, then yes, put it on Ingram and it will distribute to Amazon and it can be there so that it's available. But Amazon prefers you to put it in Amazon.
It's better for you to do it that way for a lot of reasons. That's exactly the answer I would have given. So, okay. It's Christy says, it seems like as an Australian coach working with many non-US authors, you might have a special skill set to help international authors break into the US market. My question is the reverse. I love this. What tips do you have for US-based authors to promote their books outside the US? I'm assuming worldwide distribution to Amazon on Amazon as a starting place.
Yes. So this is funny. I do get a lot of people will ask me how best to break into the Australian market. And I say the Australian market is very small. Ignore it. Like, don't focus on it at all, which is, not really what people want to hear. But it's true. We're a small market and we're not a heavy Amazon market. We don't shop on Amazon like other countries. But that's not to say that should apply for all other countries. So if you're a US author and you're looking at international markets, then what you want to look at, again, is the same principles. So why would someone, let's say the UK, let's take the UK as an example. So why would your book be the best thing for someone in the UK? Who are your readers in the UK and how are you going to get to them? So if you, let's say, you might enter a British Book Award, so that gives you some promotion in the UK. You can advertise specifically on Amazon in the UK. You can also advertise on Amazon Australia, but again, small market probably not worth it. So you want to think it's literally the same principles all the time. But ask yourself, why do I want to reach those readers? You know, it can be much better to focus on one territory and on getting really strong sales and really strong word of mouth and promotion in one territory before you look outside.
Yeah. And you know, there are like if you're trying to look and see where your book might do well, you could even try doing like a book club international or European or something like that. But I agree with Kate. It's to the international. I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's probably seems like a funny question to a lot of people because y'all are all trying to get here because there's so many buyers here, so many more buyers on it. It's like, but yeah, but
Yeah.
we all want to be like international bestsellers, right? Some countries, Christy, that buy a lot of books in English, India, Germany, obviously the UK. So you know, you might start with markets that already have a large number of people buying English language books through their Amazon.in or whatever they all are. Okay. Second question from Christy. She said she's a huge nerd. She geeks out over research and gets into the weeds quickly. Should I allow that side to come out in marketing, podcast, social media, or keep the nerd buttoned up? Talking about weird research nuggets definitely lights my face up. Clarification on this, Christy. Do you mean when you go on podcasts and market, should you talk about the nerdy stuff in your research for your book? Is that what you're asking? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because that is you, and that is and that's gonna, it's when we pretend to be people that we're not, that you know, and this sounds, to use an Australian term, apologies, probably not the best language, it sounds a bit wanky, but when you spend so much energy trying to hold back from yourself, then you lose the authenticity, and you lose the fun and the personality, and you become, you know, a bit bland and boring. And when you're bland and boring, then people turn off because they don't want to hear it. So lean into that part, put it out there, and you will put off some people. You will probably put off a lot of people, but they're not your people. So that's fine, because the people that you connect with, you'll really connect with, and they can become your super fans, and that's who you want.
Also, what she didn't post in here, she writes sci-fi, fantasy, dystopian, like there's you know, you call your book sci-fi, Christy. Do you still call it that? I remember in the beginning she talked about it being sci-fi, but my point is that like the type of people who like that book generally, and I'm not saying anything bad about them because I like those kinds of books too, generally tend to be the type of people who would nerd out on a lot of things like that. So dystopian YA sci-fi genre, I don't think you're going to have any problems with your audience if you're geeking out on stuff.
Exactly. That's it. So yeah, know the people you're writing. In knowing you and knowing who you're writing for, you can go there. Don't be afraid to go there.
I agree. Okay, Lisa wants to know, how do you find out about events?
So, you know, this sounds really base, but Google is a great thing. So, and one of my skills is learning how to Google well. And in saying that, a lot of what I do is find out answers for people, and a lot of what I'm doing is just digging deep into, like, thinking, okay, you know, so you might Google book events, and then you might go, okay, well, that's yielded like two things. So be more specific. What types of book events am I trying to get to? Where am I trying to get to? What could be listed that's not a book event, not as a book event, but might actually be an event that I can do? So community events. You can look at who are the types of people that run events and where would they promote them. So we have local councils. I don't know, it's going to be different depending on where you are, but our local councils have event listings. Our local community pages have event listings. Every area in every suburb in our area has its own local Facebook group, and they have event listings. So, you know, and then you go to places like we have a place called Creative New South Wales, which is the state that I'm in. And so they have event listings of creative things. So you dig deep, right? So when I say just Google, I'm not saying Google events around me. You are going to think about all the different possible things that could possibly lead to an event, and then you're going to end up with a big list.
Also for those folks in the US, there's Eventbrite. You can go to Eventbrite and
Yep.
see what's out there. Kate already mentioned Facebook, but you can find all the events happening that are listed on Facebook if you're looking specifically community, as she mentioned, the community resources. And there was one other one I was thinking, oh, there's a website called, I think it's called meetup.com. You can find things that are happening there. And keep in mind also that some of the best of many of the best events for you to market your book at are going to be events that are not writer and writing events, because authors, we may buy each other's books from time to time, but if I was to buy every person's book in my community or at every event I went to, I'd be way broke, and I wouldn't have like any floor space in my house. So go to places where you're finding people that aren't necessarily writers. Okay, go ahead. You look like you want to add something that.
Oh, I was just going to say, again, we have chambers of commerce here. So I don't know if that's a thing there. And yeah, and looking, this is where your connections can kind of, making that list of connections can kind of help, because when you think about your connections, then you can think, what type of events would they go to? And that's where you want to try and go to sell your books.
Not to just keep going on and on about this, but Casey, one of my team members, mentions this all the time. She says she has a friend who's a romance writer, and she will get a table at romance writer conferences, which, yes, is completely in opposition to what I just said. But she's also a children's book writer, and she takes her children's books to the romance writer conferences because nobody else is selling children's books. And it's a room full of moms and grandmas. So there you go. Okay, Sharon has one more question. Since much of my mystery YA historical fiction novel takes place in Sweden, I want to reach that market, but realize it might not sell there unless there's a Swedish translation. But I've learned that getting a book translated costs thousands of dollars. How can I reach Swedish readers without having it translated? They are a population that often speaks English well. I know my cousins there speak English.
So if you have cousins there, I would be using your cousins. And when I say using your cousins, I would be talking to your cousins and saying, hey, have you read my book? Do you like my book? Will this book appeal to a Swedish market? What will make it appeal to a Swedish market? What won't make it appeal to a Swedish market? Where do Swedish people buy books? What are some ways that I can advertise to Swedish people? You know, give me all your ideas, because they're the ones that are there and they are going to give you the best intel. So
I think that's a great idea. All right, that is all the questions. I'm just scanning through that were in the Q&A box. Let's see, it looks like you've gotten a lot of compliments, great information. Thank you, all of the things. I don't see any other questions though. So thank you, Kate, very much. Again, we'll have this replay up. If anybody specifically wants the slides, we'll probably attach them to the email on I may not get them in by tomorrow, but we'll attach them to the email. And I appreciate everyone coming out. I know this was a different time for us than our normal webinar times. That's so that Kate didn't have to be presenting at 3 a.m. So
thank you. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. And we look forward to seeing you at the conference in March as well. And everybody who is new or hasn't been to one of our events in a while, please make sure you go over to womeninpublishingsummit.com/events and check out our upcoming webinars and stuff. And you have an off, you have a sponsor offer for our community, don't you?
Yes, yes, but I'll send, that one is a specific children's book offer. So I will send everyone, I'll send you everyone that's on here like a little template, and then some information if they want to do more of this sort of work. I can help you find your joy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, everyone, thank you and have a wonderful, it's almost the weekend. So I'll just go ahead and say have a wonderful weekend because we'll be there soon. Thanks. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks.
Bye.